Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Fuller Files, the official podcast of the Syracuse Pulse. I'm Broccoli Milo, the host of Fuller Files and the broadcaster for the Syracuse Pulse. And as you know, throughout the season, I'll be sitting down with Syracuse head coach Peter Fuller, as well as some members of the roster to keep you up to date with everything you need to know about the team. And joining me now, yet again, is the head coach of Syracuse Pulse, Coach Peter Fuller. Coach, thank you so much. Great to see you once again. How we doing?
Rocco, great. I mean, it's we've won 3 in a row. One of them a cup competition with a trophy, and the other 2 in league play. So it'd be hard for me not to be happy right now.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell. I mean, things have just been going so well throughout these past couple of weeks for you. So without further ado, why don't we just get right to it? I mean, you have that Independent Cup win, which we already spoke about on the previous episode, but
Right.
Since then, you got the win against Chattanooga at home. Third time was a charm.
Yes.
And this past Saturday against the rival Flower City Union. Tell me, I mean, that's 6 points in just a matter of a week. Huge for the club. Tell me about that.
Well, I think, obviously, I think people are going to make a lot of the Chattanooga game because it's Chattanooga and it's me. But I think that I said to Jaden right after the game, and it's still the same way. It was 3 points we needed if we were serious about getting back in the playoff race. So obviously from that end of it, it was huge. The Flower City game, I think a lot of people are going to look at that and they're going to say, well, it's Flower City, blah, 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 blah. Colton Bly's done a good job with them. And again, a lot of people are going to look at that and say, oh, you're just trying to be kind. There are a lot of similarities between our 2 clubs, and it's not just geography. And it's not easy what him and Jordan Sullivan and that group over there, Andrew Hoyt, it's not easy what they're trying to do. And they put a team out that I thought competed very well against us. I also think I give our guys a ton of credit. You have a big win like we had against Chattanooga. And remember this, when we played them on the 11th of June in Chattanooga, so you can do the math in terms of the dates and everything else. Basically, 8 weeks before we played them here the other day, we lost to them 3-0, and it should have been 13. I mean, we got crushed. But I think our results with Chattanooga mirrored our improvement throughout the year, Rocco. I mean, obviously we lost to them 2-1 in our next game there. Probably deserved something from it. Lost to them 1-0 here. I felt we deserved something from that as well. And then turn around and beat them 3-0. What I'm not going to listen to in terms of the noise on the outside, and I've had to listen to it, and I'm not gonna without giving my 2 cents. Everybody's making it out like they played a whole game down 10 men or down to 10 men. That game was 1-0 and was getting ready to be 2 when Colin Stripling took down Bruno. So the fact that it happened in the 8th minute, it's not my problem. It's not our problem. At that point, we clearly had things going our way, and I think the mistake that a lot of people, on the outside, I don't think Chattanooga will make this mistake in terms of the players and the staff, but I think certainly their fan base. If you listen to it, it sounds like they somehow got it stuck to them. I mean, they got it stuck to them by us. I mean, our game was 3-0, and to be fair, we were well worth it. So it's disrespectful to our players and to our organization, and I needed to say that. Our players have done very, very well, and so to sit there and act like somehow they were hard done by. I mean, it'd be like me sitting there and saying on the 11th of June, we got it stuck to us, and we didn't. We got beat, and they got beat. So, and that's the way our game works. So again, it's something I needed to get off my chest a little bit. The second thing is in terms of Flower City, they put up a good battle against us, and they've done the best that they can to try and get some additions to the squad and things like that. But I think it's a credit to our guys. That game is what I always call a trap game. You've just had a great win against Chat, gotten yourself back in the playoff race, and it's very easy to sit back on that result and say, well, Flower City's going to roll over and die for us. I mean, they're right up the road. They're 70 miles up the road. It's a local derby, and they did not do that. And our guys, I thought were 2-0. I'd have liked to have seen us. I think we got a little nervy as the game went on, knowing that the points were absolutely crucial for us. I take some of the credit or responsibility for them being nervous too. I've been telling them all week how much of a trap game this was and how it was all about the 3 points and everything else. And all they did was go out and do what I asked them to do. So in some ways, I'll hold my hand up on that one and say, I think rather than us playing bravely, I think we played a little bit with some fear, and I take some of the responsibility with that. But the guys did ever so well, and huge win. And the unfortunate part of it is, and I had said this to them as well, Chattanooga, we may look back at the end of the year and say it was our biggest win of the year. If we'd have followed it up with a loss to Flower City, that result would have meant nothing. So good on our guys for getting it done and producing the result. I'm proud of them.
And when we go back to that Chattanooga game, what was the game plan in terms of shutting down defensively, at least? What was the game plan in terms of defensively shutting down the big guys that in the past have caused you guys troubles? For example, Ian Serro and Marcus Nagelstad.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the thing, if you look at Nags, let's start with him. Very good striker. I think 7 of his 13 goals or 6 of his 13 goals are either penalties or set piece. So put that aside, he scored the same amount of goals out of the flow of play, I think, as Caleb Jackson has. So I think you start looking at that. I think when you give Nags opportunities at penalties and opportunities at free kicks around the box, he's a master at it. Full credit to him. And I knew that when I think some people forget I was the one who brought him to Chat. So I knew what we were getting when we got him last year. And but out of the flow of play, I think Marcus needs service. And I think what we did is we choked off the service. And we worked very hard coming out of the independent game. And you and I have talked about this. I think Phil as well, that I really felt the key to our success would be getting healthy and getting our best 11 on the field, which very seldom we've been able to do, either through suspension or through injury. And we're not a deep team. Right now, I mean, you've got 19 players, and 2 of those are out possibly long term. So it's not a big squad. But I think the thing that we found, and we felt that April, May, and June showed us about our team, Rocco, is that we're much better when we press. We're much better when we take the game to someone else rather than sitting off them and just letting and absorbing pressure and trying to play on the break. And the other thing that we have figured out about this group, we're actually quite good in possession. We can keep the ball, and And I think one of the things when we built this, we built it, we didn't build it necessarily for results in April, May, and I would have liked to have seen us in June do a little better than what we did. But most of my teams, if you look back on my career in coaching, be it college, be it in the pros, be it in the PDL, USL2, if you look back on my career, my teams almost always have been better at the end of the year than they are at the beginning. And that's by design. I'm willing to take a poor result or two early on to figure out what we're good at and what we're not good at. And I think really right now, what we figured out is we're really good at pressing people, at getting after people. Against Chattanooga in particular, it's not just about pressing, but limiting their amount of time on the ball. We tried to keep it, their amount of time, their possessions, to about 10 seconds if we could, 15 at the max. The other thing that we've wanted to try and do is not just win the ball back early, but be able to keep it for 20 seconds ourselves at times, even 30 seconds, just purely to let us get our breath. So almost the opposite of the way we played the first half of the year, which is basically catching our breath defensively, sitting off people and playing them on the break. Now we're basically high pressing, going after people, high energy, and then on the ball, basically taking the air out of it a little bit and relaxing with it if we can, and if it's appropriate. So I think those are the things for us. The other side of it is too, when we do get broken down on the press, how fast can we get numerical superiority behind the ball? And those things have worked very well for us, starting with the Independent Cup game and the Chat game now and the Flower City game. So, it'll be interesting, with Bay Cities coming up. They're good in possession. They've got some really good technical players. I think in some ways they're similar to Chattanooga. So it would stand to reason our game plan will probably be similar against them.
And another thing that, Philip and I up in the booth realized at the start of the Chattanooga game was the change in positioning with your formation.
Sure.
And what I mean by that was due to the injury of Kyle Nuel with his injury that he has in his foot currently. You moved Caio da Silva to his position and put Zach Reynolds, who on paper is a midfielder, and brought him back into defense. Where did you get the idea that Zach Reynolds would have been well suited for a position that Caio da Silva was playing all year, and how did you determine Caio da Silva to go into Kyle Newell's position?
I think there's 2 or 3, maybe 4 things to answer that. And I don't mean to be long-winded with it, but I'll try and keep it as simple as I can. I think Kyle's a really important player for us. And other than Christian Wagelin, a lot of people would have said, why didn't you move Christian out to right or left? And Christian's been training brilliantly. He's been really good for us. The issue with Christian is our only cover at both right and left back. So depending on how a game goes, you might have to use him in either place. So it's with limited substitutions, it's just one of those things where it suits us better to have him on the bench rather than starting him. Second thing is, I think with Caio and Caio's development, remember this, when Caio was at Albany, 2 things to remember about him. They played him up front. They didn't play him in the back. And he did a good job for them up front. But last year as a pro with me in Chattanooga was his first real year as a center back for quite some time. And learning it now at the pro level without any real college time there it's a learning curve. There's a lot of decisions in a flat 4 that have to be made by the right and left center back. And I have felt that if we could take some of Caio's decision making away from him, and let him just concentrate on football, he's going to be a far better player. And I think I think you're starting to see that playing as a right back. The other thing that people don't realize is he ran track at SUNY at Albany State. I mean, at Albany University. I mean, he ran track. I mean, the guy can play end line to end line and do it all day long. So the fitness demands that are included in that he has. Now, granted, you don't normally see a 6'3", 6'4" guy playing right back at our level, but I think he's taken to it very well. The crossing when under pressure, sure. I mean, he's I know people have a bit of a laugh. I mean, I think he had one that landed out of bounds on the other touchline in the Rochester game. But it's okay. He's going to learn that, and he'll get better at it. But so that kind of covers the Kyle portion of this. The Zach portion, we actually played him in the second half. We played him at right center back in the Independent Cup game next to Morion. Zach is an older guy, played pro in Sweden. I had Zach his freshman year in college, believe it or not, when I was helping out at University of West Florida, helping Bill Elliott, the coach there. It was between my time at New England and Philadelphia. And so I've known Zach a long time. A lot of people are going to look at it and say, well, he's not athletic enough. He's not this, he's not that. What Zach is really smart, and he organizes. And what he does is he organizes the guys in front of him. He organizes Kyle, and he's fantastic for Mo, because Mo is we forget with Moran, you look at him and he's a mountain of a man, but he's 21 years old, and he's a kid, and it's not comfortable yet for him to feel confident enough to be ordering guys around. So having Zach back there is fantastic for him. And what Zach has the respect of his teammates, and they listen to him and they trust him. And I'm telling you, having somebody like that at the back is massive. It's a huge deal. And I think the results bear it out, Rocco. I mean, 3-0 against Chat, 2-0 the other day against Flower City. And to be honest, we were a little nervy defensively. Gave them some chances we probably shouldn't have. But still, walked away with a 2-0 result. New goalkeeper, not a new goalkeeper, but a guy that hasn't played as much as Macklin, hopping in goal for us. And the transitions was seamless. And I think a lot of that is down to Zach Reynolds. Quietly, he really is glue back there. And he reads the game brilliantly. He's way better in the air than you would think he is. And he's just done a great job for us. And again, I'm not saying that it's permanent. I'm saying that it suits us right now.
And the man in which we just got into that topic for that reason, Kyle Nuel. Obviously he's been hurt for the past couple weeks now, but prior to the injury, he's been outstanding in that wing back position where
Yes.
Kyle Da Silva had to fill in for him. Talk about, because I'm going to be talking to him later on, talk about, his role in the team and the things that he's brought to the table ever since joining Syracuse.
Right. Well, I mean, how much time do we have? I mean, I probably need an hour. But I would kind of sum it up this way. He was our first signing, very first player that we signed. And he wanted to be here. It wasn't like I begged him. He was the one who contacted me first. And to be honest, I was flattered that he would think about coming our way. He's a guy that I have always had respect for while I was at Chattanooga, and he was at Michigan Stars. He was a captain for them. In some ways, a face of their franchise, along with Steven Yunchai. And just a quiet, a guy that basically Rocco prefers to do his talking on the field and prefers to walk the walk rather than talk the talk. But I'm telling you, he's a very intelligent guy. And it's an intelligent guy when it comes to the game. Got a lot of wisdom. And when he does open his mouth in the locker room, he has the complete respect and ear of his teammates. And you know, his wife Frankie. I mean, it's a big move for a young married couple coming here. You know, she had a good job in Michigan. I mean, it would have been easy for them to kind of just stay there but again, the two of them liked what they heard in terms of what we were trying to do here, and were prepared for a new adventure. I think you got to give them a world of credit as a married couple being willing to come. But he's a terrific right back. I think you could make the case, if he's not the best right back in the league, certainly I think you got to put him in the top three. But he's all about the team, gets what his job is. You know, when he sees things that aren't quite right, and again, I think you got to give it. It's not just him, but it's Kafari, it's Russell, it's Robinson. Now I'd say Zach Reynolds is kind of in that group as well. That group of, say, 5 guys. There's very little that ever gets to my desk, Rocco, if there's problems, because they handle it and they take care of it. And in a good pro locker room, you got to have that. And here we've got great leadership. So.
Well, that's going to wrap it up with my time with you. That was a great way to just put, you know, Kyle Newell's role on the team. Just great way to sum it up for sure. I mean, I can only imagine, just from our view up in the booth, I can only imagine how many words you have to say about him. But yeah, I mean, I see why you said you would need about an hour. But, you know, in that case, you know, other than that, that's gonna have to wrap it up with you. And this way I could transition over to the player spotlight with Kyle. But for you, thank you so much again, Coach. You know, now you guys are in a very good position now, and hopefully things only get better from here. And of course, and can't wait to see you in another 2 weeks for the next home game.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you. And thank you for all you do for the club. It hasn't gone unnoticed, and it's much appreciated. So
no, my pleasure. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you again, Coach, and have a great night. All right.
Take care, Rocco. Bye-bye.
Bye. Joining me now for the player spotlight for this episode is defender number 12, Kyle Newell. Kyle, thanks so much for your time today, for joining me. How you doing today?
Rocco, good to be here, man. I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. I actually got a little bit of news from the doctor yesterday. Good news. So I'm headed in the right direction.
All right.
Doing
We don't want to, well, good news or bad, can't disclose that right now, but I'm sure we'll know quite soon. But nonetheless, why don't we get to your background, soccer background, personal background, where you're from, and how did you make your way to Syracuse?
How far back do you want me to start?
I mean, I don't know. Why don't we give it? Where did it all start? Go from where it all started, and up until like, how'd you get, from there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it started the same as anyone else as a kid. You have big dreams of playing professionally, and that was pretty much for me. That was one of my only focuses in life. So, maybe haven't made it to the threshold that maybe I wanted to or imagined, but I've definitely enjoyed the journey. I'll keep it brief in terms of how I got to Syracuse, but essentially played for the Michigan Stars the last 2 years within NISA. Had a number of run-ins with Coach Fuller, obviously. We kind of mutually seemed to take a liking to each other. Spent some time with him in the bubble tournaments and just speaking to him here or there. And over this last season, we had discussed a few things in terms of, like what my future plans were. And for my wife and I, it made the most sense. We were kind of looking for a move closer to home. We're both from Jersey originally. So, this team came about, and Fuller made the move and took over, and that was a huge turning point for me. I had to make a decision on what I wanted to do because I had a good experience in Michigan, and it's a good organization there. So I had to make the decision to head out and come, explore a new venue, out here in Syracuse. So that's how I got here.
And you are a Jersey boy, as am I.
I love
So
that.
yeah. So when I was talking to Coach Fuller, he told me about how, it was kind of in a way, it was almost like a sacrifice, if you will, a big decision to make in terms of how to go about moving, not just for you, but for your wife as well, considering her career. Talk about that kind of decision, how that was kind of how that was a factor in why you chose Syracuse.
Yeah. So the cool thing about Fuller and myself is that we made a connection because I think for him, family always comes first, and I'm a man of that, belief as well. So when we had gotten into some talks, I like I said, I was in a good position with Michigan, and I still maintained good relationships with the people that were there. But I really saw it as an opportunity to grow, not only individually, but myself and my wife collectively. It was a new adventure for us. It gave her a little bit easier access to home, to family, which was big for us. It's only a 4-hour drive home now versus a 10-hour drive, to go see family or whatever it was, to pop in for a weekend, and that's very doable for us here. So I'd say that was a big factor in that. One, that Fuller and I seemed to really see eye to eye in terms of what our core beliefs were, but in addition to having that understanding that for us, for my wife and I, this was definitely the best decision for us, and that at the end of the day trumps everything. So it was a good opportunity, and I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah. And I was told that, I personally didn't even know this at first, but I was told that you were the first player to sign for the Syracuse Pulse. And you talk about the core beliefs amongst you and Coach Fuller of having of being family oriented. How were you able to play that same role of being family oriented once all the other guys started to come along, when they started signing for the team as well?
Well, I think the coolest thing about the experience thus far, and in getting to know Fuller and the rest of our coaching staff and the front office and everyone here, is that it has turned into a little bit of a family, right? So um, what I think really happened was, I think Fuller saw, listen, right? We you always want to bring in, you know, the best players and this and that, and I don't see myself as that. I don't know that many of our guys see themselves as that, and it's not a knock at anybody, right? I think I'm a quality player. I think I have certain qualities, right? But for each one of our guys, everyone has qualities, and everyone came here though with the right perspective, and I think that's what Fuller did a great job of, right? He brought guys in that would buy into a system and would buy into a team, and it wasn't, no one was coming here for personal or individual glory. You know what I mean? We're coming here to build something collectively. And we had talks about that. The most important thing for this club was going to be that we had the right personalities that fit, and we could move forward together as a unit. And I really think that in these past couple of weeks has started to shine through. We dealt with a lot of adversity at the beginning of the year, but now we're really starting to hit our stride, and that's all in part because of the personalities that we have in this group.
And we talk about personalities within the group. You feel that essentially everyone kind of has that same family oriented, yet when it's down to get down to business, you guys get the job done, as to the best of your abilities as well. And when we talk about the locker room kind of vibe, the kind of mood, the camaraderie, if you will. And how do you guys go about sharing, we're bonding, if you will, in terms of, just team bonding, getting around, trying to just enjoy the experience together. And how do you feel that that all ties into what you guys put out on the field every night?
Well, Foles always jokes around at training, and we all kind of do collectively. We're all like, "This is the best part of my day, right? Showing up for training." Um, I don't firmly say that, right? Because my wife might be listening, but no. But no, when you go to training, it's a different thing, right? You're with the guys. It is somewhat of a release, to just be with everyone. And honestly, I've been at plenty of clubs where that's not the case. I do feel like I can show up. I know I'm going to do my job, but on top of that, I enjoy each and every one of our guys. There's not a single guy on this team that I wouldn't go to bat for. We have an absolute, I mean, a bunch of knuckleheads, right? I mean, it's just, but it's a good time. It's a really good group from top to bottom, young guys, old guys. The mix is a beautiful thing, and it really is just genuinely a good time to be at training, and with, like you said, with a product on the field. It's not like we're just showing up and it's a joke. It's when we get down to business, the sessions are of the highest intensity, but when the gloves are off and we're in the locker room and we're done with the session, I've never seen a gripe between two guys on this team carry off the field, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I really enjoy that here.
And how would you say, what are you, I always have to ask everyone this. When you got to Syracuse, I mean, I don't know how well you are, you were, I should say, with the area before coming to Syracuse. How do you like the area? How do you like the city? I mean, from what I've seen so far of the city, the great views, even from the field, from from Laser Stadium, if you're looking towards the far side, the great views of the sunset, the mountain skyline, all that good stuff. I mean, how did all that motivate, or anything that from the city, from coming to the city, did any of that motivate you even further to believe in the movement?
Yeah. So the funny thing is, I'll kind of start with the bad and end with the good. But when we first moved here, and I think it was one of your first broadcasts for the team, you had mentioned that it's one of the snowiest areas per capita in the United States of America, right? We get bombarded with snow. And when my wife and I first moved in here, we were getting snow through April. So that was kind of a big shock for us. We're like, whoa, didn't know that, there's that much snow.
It was on
But
April
then,
2nd. Yeah, it was on April 2nd where where the guy, you guys were supposed to play Chattanooga and it got snowed out.
yeah, absolutely. So that was an interesting thing, right? And I went, whoa, okay. But the beautiful part is the summer has been amazing. And where we moved is we're in a very rural area and we're actually pretty close to the stadium. And this area by the stadium is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's rolling hills. We always say to our family, like, pictures do not do it justice. Until you're here, you won't understand. But rolling hills, farmland, it's absolutely beautiful. The sunsets are amazing. It's you can't find it by me in Jersey, that's for sure. I don't know where you're from in Jersey, but I'm from, Hamilton, Trenton area. You're not getting
I'm
anything like that.
I'm like at the top. I'm like at the tippy top of the state. I'm like in like the Bergen County area, if you will.
Okay. Is that like the
So yeah, like I'm at the
Hoboken
tippy
and
top, like
yeah,
the New York border is like right next door, literally.
gotcha. Yeah. So you probably can agree with that there's not those types of views there. So that's been really nice. And it is my wife and I joke about it all the time. We didn't know where we were moving at first. Like it was kind of a shot in the dark. And actually our ops woman, Penny, did us a huge favor and actually came out and scouted out the apartment we were looking at for us and gave me the heads up. Hey, it's beautiful. You're going to love it. So that was massive, and made me a lot more settled. Pulling that trigger without actually being able to set foot in the place before moving out here. So that was really, really great.
And talk about your team's progress thus far. And you guys did have a little bit of a slower start to start the season. And right now you guys find yourselves off a 2-game winning streak in regular season play, and then you're also coming off the Independent Cup win. How do you guys feel? How do you feel about your team's progress thus far, and how far do you hope to go? Of course, obviously. I mean, I'm sure you're gonna say you hope to win the Nice championship, but in terms of just talk about the team spirit right now that's in the locker room, considering these past couple weeks and how they've treated you.
So it's funny, if you went into our locker room and you asked that question, I think everyone in there would agree that we saw this coming. We saw the momentum coming. We saw the buildup of play. But we had a few fixtures where we really were starting to play very well. We were really unfortunate to come out without a few results. But we felt that our performances warranted, a few victories, and we didn't come out on the right end of things. But the momentum was there. And what we figured out as a group is that we're a lot better than we gave ourselves credit for in the early days of the season. So where we are right now with the 2 wins, I almost feel like that was inevitable. It was going to come. And now that it's here, the biggest thing is we have to continue to be humble and continue to put those performances in, understanding that a lot of our best performances are based on our mentality, our high work rate. The more intangible things where you have to show up every day, you have to do your job, you have to do the difficult things well, and then you start to get those results. And I think the team's been training extremely well, and I think the mentality is just fantastic right now. So I really think all those things collectively have led us to the string of results that we've gotten.
Well, that's going to do it for today. Kyle, thank you so much for joining me. And
Thank you
I'm
for
going to see
having
you
me.
in about 2 weeks for the next home game, which is on
All right.
September 4th against Bay City. So I'm sure you guys are preparing very well for that one. And good luck the rest of the way, and I'll see you in about 2 weeks.
Thank you very much, Rocco, for having me. I appreciate it. It was a good time.
Oh, yep. And that's all for this episode, folks. Thanks for tuning into this presentation of Fuller Files. Join us next time, and be sure to tune into 11sports.com to catch all the Syracuse Pulse action. Follow the team on all social platforms at Syracuse Pulse, and we'll see you next time on Fuller Files.